That's the small man of the East Lancashire derby coming at you this weekend. We got both a Rovers fan and a Burnley fan standing by for a bit of trash talk. What am I talking about? We'll tell you all about it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another video. Today is a bit of trash talk, that's right, as we got both a Rovers fan and a Burnley fan all set, raring to go for this weekend's big monster game at Ewood Park. What am I talking about? Well, I'll tell you in a second. If you're new where you've been, smash your subscribe button. You want to stop shop for Blackburn Rovers, World Football. We're going to all here under one rooski. Of course, I've got standing by John T from the Roverseas Mafioso and Joe from Turfcast. That's right, I'm going to talk all things Rovers, Burnley as we look forward to the game. Or are we looking forward to the game? I don't even know. We'll take a look at that, of course, in a minute. Big shout out to the members. You know who you are. Big shout out to the Patreons. You know who you are. What we're going to do now, though, is bring on the boys. All right, joining me today on Trash Talk, we've got John T, Roverseas Mafioso in the house, and we're joined by award-winning, can we say award-winning? Or award second place, Joe from Turfcast. There it is. Yes, of course. It's a polished paperweight. That's what it is. So, Joe, first and foremost, of course, big game tomorrow. Well, big game for you guys, really. It's just a regular day for us at the office. But, of course, East Lancashire derby. What is your thoughts about the game coming into as we edge closer to kickoff?
To be honest with you, because it's over Christmas, I've not really thought about it too much. Like, it's been weird because, like, normally the derby week is like banter flying everywhere and nerves are starting to jingle. But obviously, like, I remember seeing a few tweets from both sides about 7 days ago, and I'm like, oh God, yeah, that's soon. But then we still had to play Middlesbrough, then Stoke, and I'm thinking, let's just get them two games out of the way first. And obviously, Stoke were up for us. We're only a couple of days ago, so then I did all the post-Stoke content, and literally today, like today's the day when I'm starting to think, oh no, we're playing Blackburn tomorrow. And then I was just driving recently and they were listening to TalkSport and they were like, live tomorrow, Blackburn against Burnley. I'm like, oh God, yeah. So I'm not as focused on it as I usually am, but I think that's just because it's been Christmas and there's been a lot of stuff happening, a lot of games, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, John, I agree.
John, I was going to say, Johnny, do you think that's a good thing for us to be distracted with everything else? Because if it had the build up towards like the last one, it probably would have a bit more aggro with the folks on social media.
Well, I think, I'm going to disappoint people and say that's the only thing that me and Joe will probably agree on all podcasts, really, to be fair. I'm like you, Joe. It's kind of just suddenly come upon us very, very quickly as this game. I've not had the sort of, 7 days to go, 6 days to go, and you can start counting down. It was literally this morning where I thought, oh, shit, this time tomorrow we'll be thinking about the game and focused on the game, and this time tomorrow night we'll know exactly what the score is and what the outcome is. So it's it's not had the same build up. Probably a good thing. It means that I can get a better night's sleep. Hopefully the players haven't had too long to think about it either. But yeah, the nerves. I've got my stomach doing the 360 at the minute.
Yeah, and it's probably not been helped by the recent news of a certain resurfacing of a cretin. I mean, an ex-dingle returning. Ashley Barnes is back. Did you ever even anticipate such a thing, Joe?
No, I was actually getting into bed last night, and it come up, and I seen the Turfcast group chat like pinging, and I thought, every now and then we'll get like, I'm sure you guys get it as well. You'll get like a bit of a nasty comment from an opposition fan or even a fan of your own, just sort of like giving you a bit of grief, and you just think, what are you doing that for? And obviously sometimes every now and then the Turfcats group chat, screenshot of a comment like, oh, look at this prick sort of thing. I just thought it was something like that again because it was going off, and I thought, oh, I'm just getting in bed, I can't be arsed. And then I seen a tweet, because obviously I've got Burnley on notifications. I get a tweet off Burnley coming through, and I'm like, and it's like video, and it says something like, name your, who's that, I don't know, some that thing. And I'm like, what's all this about? Started watching it, and then loads of tweets and stuff started coming through. I'm like, Ashley Barnes. I'm like, surely not. But it's weird, because it's one of them, like, in terms of footballing ability, probably doesn't add too much to the team at this stage. But I think he's one of them. Not every signing should always be about ability. Some signings are about a little bit more than that. And I think Barnsley for us, Yeah, exactly. He's a little bit more than that, and not even just shithousery. Like he's a legend to us, and it's going to give us a boost. I'm not sure if he'll play a part tomorrow. If I'm honest with you, I would hope he will, but some rumours I've seen recently suggest that the paperwork wasn't done in time. Nothing official on either side yet, so we'll see. But I thought the whole point of announcing it late on Thursday was to say like, look, the paperwork's done, sort of thing. So we'll see. But yeah, I think it's more of a signing to give us a boost and to just to give us a few more numbers up front, because we have struggled up front. To be fair, I think yourselves have as well. We've only scored 30 goals this season, so there's been some times where we're playing a number 10 as a number 9, then bringing off that number 10 for somebody who's similar age to me. And I always crack the joke on my podcast, but I can crack it on this one because probably not many of your viewers will actually watch mine. But I sometimes walk down the stairs as a 36-year-old man and I feel a twinge in my legs. Like Jay Rodriguez is playing 90 minutes of football 3 times a week at my age. So it's good to have, Ashley Barnes is actually older, I think, but it's good to have a different body as well, because I like Lyle, and I do think Lyle could be a good striker in the Championship, but he spends too much time injured, to be honest with you. So we'll have to see what happens there. But it's another body, and it'll give us a boost because just we see him as a legend.
I think Ashley Barnes just having his presence in the dressing room as well. So whether he features or whether he doesn't, he's going to get those players pumped up and really underpin what it means for this derby. Do you know what I mean? I personally like to see David Dunn going into the changing rooms beforehand and just getting the lads absolutely pumped up, which I guess kind of brings me to a quick question for you, if that's all right with you, Dirk, is if you could bring any Burnley player back for tomorrow's game, past or present, in their prime, who would that be, Joe?
I mean, I'm not going to go Jimmy McIlroy or anybody like that because that was from the 60s when we were at our best, so I never saw them, so it'd be silly of me to say that. I think the best player I've ever seen wear a Burnley shirt is Stephen Defoe. He was a class above, absolutely fantastic. He never played in one of these games, I don't think. No, he wouldn't have done. And I'm not sure, to be fair, he was quite lightweight, to be fair. So a crunching tackle from one of your lads might have put him off straight away, but he was head and shoulders above the rest. He was such a good midfielder. And I do feel like if we had a player of his calibre in the Championship, stick him in any team in the Championship and I think they'd win it. He was so good. There was a reason why Manchester United wanted him before his injury. He was head and shoulders above anybody in a Burnley shirt. The best player that I've ever seen. Other than that, maybe Robbie Blake in his prime. Obviously, he did score a worldie once at Ewood. We went on to lose a match, so he were irrelevant in the end. But I thought he were really good. I'm not sure if he would do too much in this team, but I think going forward, like I said earlier, we've struggled. So he probably would add that little bit of magic, which we are missing, to be fair.
Equally then, who would you hate to see turning up for Rovers tomorrow, past or present, that you would think, oh, shit?
Well, you mentioned him already, but Dunnett's got to be him. Or Morten Gams Pedersen. Obviously, I was there in 2004, 2005, whatever it was, when I remember thinking, like, right, FA Cup, I think you were in League above us, weren't you? I can't remember at that point. Yeah. Obviously, we were a draw at the turf, 0-0, bit of a tedious match, that one, to be honest. And then, obviously, we got the game at Ewood. You go ahead, we score the great goal from Micah Hyde. And then it gets to, like, 85th minute, something like that, 80th minute. And I'm thinking, right, extra time here. Like, in my head, I'm mentally preparing for extra time as a fan. Then all of a sudden, he just scores out of nowhere. But he was, like, probably one of the better players that's ever played for Blackburn, at least in my lifetime anyway. Again, like, there'll be some people who were watching him in the 60s, 70s. Obviously, I never saw that. But I think, yeah, Morten Gans Pedersen was probably the best, in terms of technical ability, Blackburn player from my lifetime.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd love to see Pedersen, Dunn, Damien Duff, Colin Hendry,
Yeah,
people
Duff
like
good.
that.
Duff good.
Yeah.
Well, Morton's still playing. He's still playing in the Norwegian leagues.
Actually?
Yeah, we can get him back. Maybe we should do one of them lastminute.com.
How old is he now? He must be older than Jay Rodriguez.
He's only 21. We'll get him in. No, let's just have a quick, talk back about the game at Turf Moor back in August. Of course, the build-up for that was much different to this one, and I did speak to a couple of Burnley fans back then, and they were very nervous because it was still early in the season. No one really identified themselves in the table. What is your take now when you see Rovers? We're doing all right considering our finances. We are doing all right, maybe punching above our weight, to be honest with you. Do you have a bit more fear about us, or do you still think we're going to be lambs to the slaughter?
I think Lambs to the slaughter would be extreme. I think when you look at the two teams, and again, that's not being arrogant, I think we should have the better team man for man when you look at where we've been for the last 10 years compared to obviously, nipping down into League One for a season and stuff like that and spending the majority of it in the Championship. Obviously, we spent the majority of it in the Premier League, and the Premier League's obviously a much different beast than what it was in the 90s and even the early 2000s. So we should have the better team man for man, and I do think we have the better team man for man. I think if you were going to choose, a position of each player, I think the majority of them would be Burnley players, and it should be that way. It'd be wrong if it were any other way. So I do think we are the better side, but I'm not as nervous as last time, if I'm honest with you, because last time there was so much noise, negativity, should I say, surrounding Burnley. Because they were literally every day we were selling somebody, and Burnley fans were just panicking. Like you were saying, like it had more of a build-up. Like, yeah, it probably did on your side. On our side, again, it didn't really have that much of a build-up because we were just panicking about all these players being sold. You've got Burnley fans accusing the chairman and the owners and people like that of fire sales and stuff like that, which were just ludicrous. But fans are emotional. I understand that. And I was just panicking. I weren't focusing on the match. I mean, I was getting, with each player that left, I was getting more and more nervous about the match, thinking, this is not the week to do it. Can we just not do any other week? Just do it any other week, but we're doing it every single day, losing players week in, week out. But ultimately, I think we bought relatively well. We're definitely weaker. Like we are definitely weaker from the side that we had. But I do think we bought some decent players. And I do think man for man we are the better side. So that's why I'm not as nervous. And weirdly enough, I chatted to a Blackburn fan on my channel earlier in the week, and I was more nervous before that chat. Now, I don't know if it's because I spoke to like a more of a negative Blackburn fan, but it weren't even just that, because I remember thinking like, yeah, they've had a good result at home against Leeds. So if they could beat Leeds are probably the only side in the Championship, in my opinion, that man for man are better than us. You could argue Sheffield United as well, but with some of the injuries that they've had recently, I think they've just gone underneath us. So I'm thinking, oh, well, if they can get a result against Leeds, they can probably do it against us. And they drew against Sunderland as well. But then I checked out how many goals you'd scored and how many goals you conceded, and I started thinking about it. I'm thinking, if Blackburn do beat us, it will probably be from a set piece or something like that. And we've been relatively okay at set pieces this season. So I'm not that worried. If you win, you win. I don't think it'll be the biggest shock in the world. Obviously, if you win, like I said, you've beaten Leeds. But I'm comfortable that we have the better team, but obviously football, unfortunately for us, isn't played on paper. So yeah, we'll have to see, because obviously Eustace, I think, is done. That's where my praise will go for you, rather than saying Blackburn are doing well this season. I like to say Eustace has done a very good job. It just makes it feel easier to say. So I think he's done a really good job, and like I said, if he can get results against Leeds at Ellen Road as well, then he can probably work out a way to get a result against Burnley. But obviously, we would hope that isn't the case.
Just a quick one for you, Johnny, here. Do you think Rovers are more prepared to face Burnley now than we were back in August?
Ooh, it's a good question. Yes, yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I'm sceptical of tomorrow. I really am. Like Joe said, football isn't played on paper, sort of thing. I always say the same about derbies: is just don't get humiliated. If you're going to get beat, just make it 1-0 or 2-1 or something like that. Just don't get your 3s, your 4s, your 5s, your 6s, or anything like that. That would just be horrendous. But yeah, I think we're especially after the Leeds 1-1, that's probably given us a little bit of belief away from home. I know that Burnley, to be fair to them, they do play better away from home. I think teams probably open up a little bit more and probably a bit more free flowing, and that's where Burnley are really dangerous, and we need to be cautious of that. But equally, when we play at home, we play a bit more cautiously. So maybe we need to treat tomorrow as if it's away at Turf Moor, even though we're at home, and take it from there. I mean, it's great that Rovers have sold out all of their home areas that they can do, but again, that fills me with a little bit of nervousness as well. Is that going to put extra pressure on the players? I don't know, but yeah. As I think the worst performance I've seen for a long time from a Blackburn Rovers team was that one away at Burnley, that 3-0. I mean, even still now, 2 years on, I'm still scratching my head as to what that starting lineup was. Players that never played for us beforehand and never played for us afterwards. It was just a bonkers lineup, wasn't it? So we're not going to get that tomorrow, I hope. We're missing a couple of key players, Yuki in particular, that's just like a Yorkshire Terrier that'll be,
Travis?
Yeah, Trav as well. Yeah,
Major loss.
Yeah, absolutely. Bleeds blue and white sort of thing. So, yeah, with those two players down, it's going to be an interesting one. But like Joe said, man for man, are Burnley better? Yeah, unfortunately they are, as expected. But let's see.
So there's another one for Joe here. Quick, let's say we do a draft of players. Of course, you say the majority will be Burnley players. But if you had to draft from the Rovers squad, who would you identify as the one individual that you would take to make us weaker and maybe you guys stronger, not including
Uh,
manager?
um, It's a tough one because I'll be honest, I'm one of them fans. I'm not one of them fans like you get on Twitter that will do hate watchers. Like I'm watching Blackburn on TV because I hate them. I just avoid you. Like if I don't have to watch you on TV, I won't watch you. So I don't watch too much of you. I'm just thinking from a Burnley perspective. I do think we struggle up front, so I think UK would be good to have for Burnley. Someone who's fast up front. We don't really have much pace up front, so I would have him. I'm not sure Travers would fit into our team with the sort of with the way that we play, but I would take him just to make you weaker. I think Piers is okay as well, but I'd have Trafford over him. But I think if I had to choose somebody, again, I'll be honest, I don't know Blackburn that well, but I would probably go UK. And you've got that Gay as well. I think he's decent, but he's not got much technical ability in him. He's just more of a battering ram, which I think sometimes can be good for like a last 10, 15 minutes sort of thing, or for set pieces, of course.
It's Jonty's favourite, that guy. Right.
He's not. We play with 10 men. He's I
Loose
was gonna
cannon.
say,
Well, I would presume he's going to be playing tomorrow then, obviously with the injuries up front.
hopefully not. Hopefully not. We start with 10 men, is my honest opinion. I think he's an impact guy, so
Yeah, that's
bring
what I
him on
mean. Yeah.
after 80 minutes, but certainly don't start with him. I've not seen one meaningful shot on target from him yet that's actually gone or troubled the goalkeeper sort of thing. I've seen it trouble the Blackburn end more than the keeper. Harry Leonard maybe start. I mean,
I'm
I
thinking
was.
I'm thinking Wyman up top, Wyman or Dolan as
Well,
the front man tomorrow.
yeah. I mean, obviously Campbell will come back, but an interesting observation for you, Joe, is that when we play with Campbell, we don't score many goals. Believe it
I
or
actually
not.
forgot about Cantwell. He's another one that I probably would have, but I don't know if I'm just going off his Norwich days. I'd not seen much of him, obviously, when he was up in Scotland. And I know actually that the Rangers fans didn't really like him that much, to be fair. But I've not seen much of him either at Ewood yet. So maybe I'm just going off his Norwich days. But yeah, I feel like he's like a tricky sort of like forward. So maybe he's
Yeah.
decent. I guess you're just going to say you don't really score with him in the side. So that's a bit of a weird one, that one.
Well, it's like I've said it before. It's like we rely on him too much, so we're always giving him the ball. And when we're giving him the ball, then he takes on players who will get a cross into nobody in the box, sort of thing. So it's we have scored more goals when he's not on the team. Every time he's in the team and we win, it's just by a 1-0. It's a really really small score line sort of thing. So maybe we rely on him too much. So again, that'll be interesting whether we start with him or whether we don't. He missed the Leeds game through apparently illness. He was suspended a couple of weeks back. For Luton, and we won 2-0. And that's like the biggest scoreline that we've had recently, sort of thing. So, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, John, you got some more questions on your list over there?
Yeah. So, Joe, superstitions. Do you have any well, first and foremost, are you going to the game tomorrow?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to get some tickets.
How are you getting there?
I'm actually going to drive, which I'm not too sure about. That's the thing I'm most nervous about, because you normally have that away car park. And I rang Rovers and I said, look, I'm an away fan. I know you have the away car park. Can I get a ticket? I might have left it too late. And they just sort of like said, we're not actually doing it for this game, which I thought was bizarre because I think that's probably the game where you need it the most. But I would presume maybe it's a police thing, I'm not sure. And they sent me a list of sort of like car parks of where to park, recommended away car parks. And that, again, fills me with a bit of dread. Like people might know to have these away car parks and maybe target them. So then I've got to walk, obviously, from the car to the ground. And then that's not what bothers me. It's afterwards. Whatever the result is, if you guys have won, you'll obviously all be buzzing, and then I've got to walk through all that. And then if we've won, you'll all be a bit annoyed, and then I've got to walk through all that. So I'm driving. I'm going to get there really early, though, so I could just get to the ground, because the ground's probably the safest place to be. But then, yeah, that's probably the thing I'm most nervous about more than anything, to be honest with you.
How many are going? Are you going with somebody else or?
Yeah, just me and my dad. So it's not like a large group, so we should be able to blend in. After that, saying that, it's probably about 10,000 people will watch this and they'll all target me. But no, yeah, just me and my dad. So hopefully, like I said, it's not a big group. But yeah, I kind of preferred it when it was the bubble match, if I'm honest with you, because you just traffic straight in, and I obviously live in Burnley, so I don't have to travel from Blackburn, because obviously it were hard work for the Burnley fans from Blackburn who had to go from Blackburn to Burnley, then back there, and then back there and back there, and that were a pain in the backside, to be fair. But it was much easier for me. I just walked to the turf because I used to live near the turf. I don't anymore, to be fair. But yeah, that was much easier. So yeah, just two of us, lucky enough to get tickets. It's been a bit of a scramble, as I'm sure you guys have seen, but yeah, thankfully I'm going.
Yeah, okay. Superstitions? Do you have a certain top or a certain pair of socks that you wear, or anything like that for any games, or are you
Not
a bit
really.
more?
Like, if anything, like one of the weird things I do is I'll walk a certain way from my dad's for home matches. Like, I have to go down certain streets and turn down certain streets, and then I have to get my season ticket out of my pocket on a certain street as well. Other than that, but away games I'm fine with. Like, it's weird. Like, away games, I never get as nervous for. I'm always more nervous for the home games, no matter who it's against. I'm always more nervous for the home games. I just feel like I'm in more of a routine in the home games, so then I feel like I'm more in a game sort of thing. Whereas it's always a little bit different for away games. So not on away games though. I'll probably just wear what I'm wearing now, to be fair, or I might even put the away shirt on. We normally just wear the home shirt, obviously, when we play each other. So I'll probably stick this on.
Yeah, no, it's weird, isn't it? I'm broadly similar. I normally have to go through a certain gate on the Riverside to make sure that's last time I came on the game we won, and I went through B1 or whatever it was, and and that's it's weird, and I don't seem to do very well at home if I wear my colours. So if I go quite neutral looking, then we normally do better. But what does this game actually mean to you in terms of if you were to get beat? God willing, um, what kind of friends, family members have you got that are Blackburn fans?
Thankfully, none. I don't have any. The only thing, and this might come back to bite me on Monday, is my line manager is actually a Blackburn fan. Basically, I'm a freelancer, so I'm kind of self-employed. But one of the jobs that I do is working over in Media City, doing some stuff for some like national television channels. And the line manager that I've booked a shift for on Monday and Tuesday is a Blackburn fan. Like, normally I would think about these things. Like, when I'm offered a shift, I would think, no, I'll stay away just in case. Or like, no, Burnley playing on a Saturday, so I can't book a shift that Saturday. I've obviously just not realised that it's that week when I booked it about 3-4 months ago, and then now I kind of regret it. So that's the only thing that'll annoy me is Monday morning when I see my line manager, and he probably won't even go to town. He'll just have that smug look on his face, which I won't enjoy. But other than that, yeah, no real friends or family, to be fair. But yeah, that's probably because I live in Burnley.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm married to a dingle, just to really rub salt into the wound. So tomorrow night could be interesting. As you know, I live in Burnley. I'm speaking to you from Burnley.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm originally from Clitheroe, so just moved over to Hapton and then moved over to Burnley. So there we go. In terms of the championship, I'm sure Dirk's going to ask you about the predictions probably in a couple of minutes' time. But just in terms of the championship. Do you honestly believe that you're going to be in the top two, or do you think you're going to go into the playoffs?
Recently, I've changed my mind from third to top two, simply because I went to Bramall Lane, I watched us against Sheffield United, I thought they were poor. We were much the better side against them. We might have got a fortuitous second goal, but we absolutely controlled that match. They didn't get a sniff against us. Since then, which is typical Burnley fashion, we've thrown in two absolute stinking performances and drawn 0-0 at home to Stoke, which just isn't good enough. And that's, if we do not finish top two, it's because of these performances. We drew 0-0 at home against Preston. All right, they've come on a little bit recently, but they're a poor side. 0-0 at home against QPR, 0-0 at home against Stoke, 0-0 away against Oxford. There's too many of these performances where teams come to the turf sitting, not necessarily sitting in a low block, because Stoke didn't do that, but out of possession, Stoke were quite compact. And if a team is quite compact, and that's one of the reasons why I'm worried for tomorrow. So I do think defensively you are quite well drilled and well organised, and that's what Eustace has got you doing. I think out of possession you will be quite compact. And then when teams do that to us, we struggle. But when we go to away games, like obviously Leeds were open, so we just sat back and soaked it up with the great defence that we have and him on the counter. Sheffield United just absolutely dominated the game, as I've already mentioned. So yeah, I do think we're going to finish top two simply because I've watched Sheffield United. And I think they're poor now. And they've had Harry Suter. Is it Harry Suter who's injured? That really bad injury that went out for the season. I think it's a big loss. My only worry with Sheffield United is the new owners have come in and say if they spend 20-30 million in the January transfer window, that might then put them back above us. But I do think at the minute, with the second best team in the division, I think Leeds will win it and then we'll finish second. But again, that all depends on what Sheffield United do in January and what we do in January as well, to be fair.
At the other end of the table, who do you think is going to get relegated?
I think Plymouth are gone. I know they've just sacked Rooney, but still, I can't see him getting out. Even if they get Schumacher in, which is the rumour that I've seen, he's a good manager, Schumacher. But I still think they go. Portsmouth. Who else is down there now? Oxford have pulled away. I think Oxford will be all right. Cardiff are hit and miss though. They have like good results, then bad results. I don't know if they'll eventually drag themselves out of it. Cardiff might be a good shout. I'll just quickly get the league table up and sort of
like Hull's down there still.
Hull. Definitely, yeah, Hull. Again, they've just got a new manager in there, haven't they? So they could have a new manager about. Really, Cardiff actually are second bottom. To be fair, I didn't realise that. It would be pretty funny if Luton went down. I have no beef with Luton at all. Like, obviously, they were in the Premier League with us last year. I actually quite like some of their fans, but just because everybody were predicting them to win the league at the start of the year, and I were like, they've lost Barkley, they've lost Lakonga, I think, as well. They've lost Lockyer, who's obviously had his heart issues. Like, I kept thinking, like, why do people think Luton are going to be this force in the Championship? They won't be. So I think that will be good not good to see them go. I don't mean it like that, but just funny for about an hour. But I do think they'll stay up. I think Hull, Plymouth, and what was the other one that I said? Portsmouth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Oxford. There's potential they could go down. There's a lot can change, can't they? So. Yeah. Okay. Over to you, Dirk. I don't know if you had any other questions for Joe. Anything to?
Nothing real pressing, Of course, new faces, injuries, and all that kind of jazz. But if you were the man pulling the shots tomorrow, who would be in your starting 11?
James Trafford in goal. Super James Trafford. I'd have Humphreys at left back. I'd have the best defender in the Championship in Maxime Esteve at centre back alongside CJ Egan-Riley. Connor Roberts at right back. In the double pivot, I'd have Cullen, who's, again, one of the better midfielders in the Championship. Not Brownhill, though. I love Josh. Put him further forward, but not in that double pivot. I think this is why we were so poor against Stoke, because he tweaked with the midfield too much. And I think sometimes when we tweak with that midfield, we aren't great. So I'd have Cullen and Loren in that double pivot. Loren's kind of like more of a box-to-box, whereas Cullen's like a 6, sort of like more of the pivot himself. Loren, what he's really good at, he's probably not the best in terms of technical ability, but he really drags us up that pitch, whether he has the ball or doesn't have the ball. It's just he just runs up the pitch and gets the team 30-40 yards up the pitch. And when he's not playing, we do struggle and we sit further back with that. This is where we'll struggle on the wings, because obviously now Hannibal's an idiot and did what he did against Stoke. We're going to probably have to play Coley Oshaw. And now I know you guys are quite lacking of pace in defence and especially at full-back, so he might have a good game, but he's been awful this season. Like, he's got so much ability or so much potential, but he just doesn't have a footballing brain, and he just properly winds me up. So he's got a big. If he's playing tomorrow, he's got a big game to sort of like endear himself back to the Burnley fans. He played well against Leeds away, to be fair. But he's not done anything since then. But I'd have him on the left. If it wasn't for him, Hannibal being suspended, I'd have Hannibal, because he's just better at keeping the ball. So we turn over possession too much with players like Coley Oshaw, because all he wants to do is run forward, and then he just runs into traffic. Somebody said something brilliant. Said he'd run into a dead end on the motorway, and he would do that. He'll beat your fullback and then cut back in, and you're like, what are you doing? Just get down to the byline and whip it in. Winds me up. I digress a little bit there on Coley Oshaw. And Jadon Anthony on the other side. Brownhill in that 10 / the false 9. That's where he's at his best, and I think he can really hurt you guys tomorrow if he's played properly in his proper position. But if Scott Parker tinkers and puts him further back again, then I'll be pretty fuming. And then Fleming, I think, up top. But if Lyle Foster's fit enough, unleash Lyle Foster on you guys. I think he has the ability to be a very good striker in this league. He's spent a lot of time injured. I'm not sure where he is in his recovery. But if not, Fleming then, start him and then bring Lyle on, say, the 60th minute, if we need it and it's not already 5-0 to us by then.
So, so no J Rod in your team. Why that and no
I just think
Barnes
he's.
at all? It's too soon for Barnes.
Yeah, I think it might be too. I'd have Barnes on the bench if the paperwork's done. But yeah, with Jay, like we love Jay, he's a Burnley lad, so and I think he's one of them ones that knows how much this game means. But I just think, as I said earlier, he's a little bit old, and he did look absolutely lost up front against Stoke. If I'm being honest with you, didn't get a sniff. He was poor. I just think sometimes in these sort of games against organised teams, he does look a little bit lost leading that line on his own. But to be fair, he's not getting much service on the wings as well because Corley Oshaw's running into traffic. But yeah, I'd have Fleming up there.
And a touch on Hannibal. Like I did see the red card, and I didn't know how much of involvement he has had with Burnley. Is he a regular for you guys? Does he play
No,
regularly?
he's been in and out, but the last 4 or 5 games he has actually played quite well. And there's a lad who does a lot of stuff for us called Chris. He can't stand him, and he constantly calls him a headless chicken and proper just slags him off basically. But I think recently, like I said, Corley Orshaw will lose possession. Hannibal will not. He'll keep the ball. He'll protect it. He'll get it to the more creative players like your Flemings or your Antonys or your Brownhills. Whereas Corley Orshaw, you get the ball to him and you're either, 99% of the time you're losing it afterwards. So he has come into the side and done better. He was actually rested against Stoke. And then because it was 0-0, obviously we're trying to bring on our better players. And then he comes on off the bench and does something stupid. So yeah, that was frustrating to see. And obviously, it's not only that he misses you guys as well. He misses the next game after this, apart from the FA Cup, is Sunderland, and that's obviously a massive game as well. So, infuriating from our point of view.
Okay, John T and Joe. I don't know if you got anything else for each other, but let's push you first, John T. Scoreline prediction tomorrow.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 defeat.
Oh, really? For Burnley?
Yeah.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
1-0 to Burnley.
I am very surprised. I mean, obviously, I don't know either of you guys well at all, but I just thought with it being rivals, like I said, I recorded a show already, and I think deep down, the lad that I was on, he just didn't want to predict it because I think he thought it was going to be a defeat as well, but he just kept avoiding the question. Yeah. But yeah, even when I was doing stuff with Man City podcast last year, I'd be like, yeah, 1-1. Even though I knew deep down it was going to be like 6-7-0 to them. So yeah, surprised about that, especially with you being better this season than you have been for, last season anyway.
Yeah, I think you nailed it though. I think you're on paper, Joe. You're the better team. So, yeah, I think it'll be a tight game, and I think it's going to be a cheeky 1-0 to Burnley.
Well, that's disgusting, John T. I can't believe you just.
I agree, to be fair. I can't believe you predicted us to win. I mean, I'll take it, and obviously I'm buzzing. It's weird that the closer it gets to the game, the less nervous I feel because I keep hearing Blackburn fans with a little bit more reserved. I don't know if it's just like the last.
I got rid of him. I can't take that from John T. I got rid of him now.
I don't know if that's like just the last 15 years of everything like going on and things like that. But yeah, I am surprised at that. I'll be honest.
What about you, Joe? What are you thinking?
I am thinking 1-0 Burnley as well. You don't concede many goals. I'll just quickly get the league table up. Obviously, I have to scroll down from where we are to find you guys.
Oh yeah.
But obviously you've only
22.
You've conceded 22. Like that's not horrendous. It's not 9. Like we've only conceded. But it's still decent. You're obviously difficult to score again. So. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. If you are a betting man, which I am, stick your mortgage. Do not take this as financial advice. Stick your mortgage on under 2.5 goals because it's not going to be over 2.5 goals. We don't score often. You don't score too often. I was surprised actually to see because we are infuriated with how little we score as Burnley fans, and I checked it the other day, and I was actually surprised to see that you've actually scored 2 less. I thought you would have scored more.
We do have a game in hand, so just put
good point. Yeah, and it is Portsmouth at home.
Portsmouth,
yeah.
So we're going to stick 10 past them.
Yeah, you could do, yeah. But yeah, I think it's going. I just think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be edgy at first, but then hopefully the quality shines through. But like I said, I do think UCIS has done a good job of sort of like organising you guys. And I think if you win 1-0 and it's from a set piece or from an absolute fluke of a goal like you scored at the Turf.
just hang on that note, talk to me about that goal, Joe. Take your Burnley hat and goggles off for the minute. Is that one of the best goals you've ever seen down at Turf Moor from an opposition player? I'll make it fair. It has to be, surely to God. Anything else will be bullshit.
It's not the best. The best will be... No, honestly, Google it. The best will be. Was it Fabregas? I can't. It weren't Fab. I think it might have been Fab. When Chelsea came to the turf a few years
I'm in it in
ago.
the Championship.
Well, if you want to then change the rules again, then yeah, maybe. But the reason why I say it's a fluke, and I'll stand by it, is I know he means it. I'm not saying he doesn't mean it for a second. But if you give him that chance 1,000 more times, he doesn't score it again. It just happened to go in that day. It was just perfect for you guys, and yeah, it brings back memories of us, like I said, in 2005 when Micah Hyde scored that goal. He just swung his leg at it, and thankfully it went over Friedel, who were in your net at the time. And yeah, we went mental then. Obviously, went on to lose that game, unfortunately. But it reminds me a bit of that goal, to be fair, because if you give him that effort another 1,000 times, he ain't doing it again. But yeah, I actually did say when it went in, oh, for fuck's sake, what a goal. So I think that tells you what you need to know.
Yeah, I think there's that beautiful shot of behind the goal. Some Burnley fans are just recording it, and you almost see like he's missed, and then it's like, oh my god.
What annoyed me about that is, as a Burnley fan, why have you uploaded that? Why? If I'd have filmed that, it's getting deleted instantly, and I'm burning my phone. Like, why did? And I think it was Brad who uploaded it as well. I like Brad. He's a good lad. He gets some stick off your fans, to be fair, but I actually quite like him. His sound. But why upload it? This is where I think I sometimes fail as a YouTuber, even though that's not my job at all, obviously, and I refuse. If anyone ever called me that, I'd punch them. But if I film something tomorrow which would get 1 million views, but it's positive for you guys, I'm like, no chance. I'd rather just delete it and not have the views. But yeah, it was infuriating, that video. I remember seeing it like, why have you uploaded that, mate? But yeah, it was an okay goal, but quite lucky at the same time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, yeah, hit that 1,000 times and one or two of them will go in. But I mean, what a goal! It was just. I mean, if you look at his from behind the goal, from the camera angle behind the goal, he literally was facing square on about 15 yards in from even the near post.
I've not watched it back, as I'm sure you're not surprised to see. So I don't know which way he was facing or anything. But yeah, it were infuriating as well, because I don't think you'd have scored. I know you had that chance later on, and you did have the disallowed goal, to be fair, so that probably disputes that instantly. But I don't think if that doesn't go in, we win the match, in my opinion, and it obviously changes the course of the game, and obviously so did the red card as well. But yeah, decent goal, but yeah, I stand by it.
Well, regardless, it'll be a spicy encounter tomorrow, no matter what. Joe, I appreciate you giving up a bit of your time. John T, easy on them beers. You got to get up early doors tomorrow. Make sure you're
singular.
Well, for now, we'll see. But, hopefully, we'll meet again in May. Maybe we'll do a chat about the playoffs, perhaps.
Hopefully not. I don't think any Burnley fan or Blackburn fan wants that to happen. Nobody wants that.
Well, I think we would take a playoffs right now.
I mean, you take the playoffs, but I bet you don't want to play us.
I don't know.
I remember in 2009, and I don't even dislike Preston that much. I did back then because we didn't play you for so long, and I couldn't stand him. And now I just see him as like an annoying little nephew. But even then, like we nearly played them in the final. And I was like, please, God, no, anybody but Preston. And it would be the same against you. Like, not because I'd be worried about getting beat.
It would, but if you had the secret sauce or the script to that day, and we know that we would win, well, of course we would.
Oh, yeah, of course. But
the build-up to a playoff encounter against Burnley would be probably ulcer-making. It would create a lot of ulcers and, sleepless nights. And, if I had hair, it would be one of those days I lose all my hair. But, I wouldn't mind it, but
well, it's easy for you to say,
I'm 4,000 miles
in America.
Away. I'm 4,000 miles
exactly.
away.
Yeah,
If we get beat this weekend, no one's going to even notice a thing. They'll be like, whatever. It would just be me stabbing myself with a fork in my leg or something. But anyway, Joe, appreciate it. John T, appreciate it. Maybe hopefully we'll chat Sunday, maybe once we've won on the weekend, and we'll talk all about it. Well, there you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. Big shout out once again to John T, giving up a bit of his time. Also, big shout out to Joe from Turdcast, should we say. I'm so funny. Anyway, a big shout out to those guys for giving a bit of a chat this week as we look forward to the game. No nonsense stuff. It is all now downhill to the big game at Ewood Park. Of course, hopefully, if you can be there, enjoy yourself, be safe out there. But if you can't be there, come watch me on the old watch along as we look forward to the game. But until then, subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. Until then, we are done.